welcome everyone to TJ and the Grumpy Old Man. I'm your host, TJ, and with me again, as always, is the Grumpy Old Man. They say there is no shame in his game because he is always the same.
That's me.
For those of you who are first-time listeners, this is a sports-related podcast with a lot of hot takes. Now, Grumpy, I see you are wearing a Tampa Bay Buccaneers jersey. Who are you pulling for tonight? Grumpy?
I'm pulling for Tom Brady, of course.
Oh,
and this is the biggest regular season game. Maybe ever. Maybe ever.
The biggest regular season game ever, huh?
Yeah, certainly the biggest week 4 regular season game ever.
I do. I agree with that. But before we get too far into today's podcast, because there's a lot to talk about, we were out last week. This is a podcast we do every single Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as well as every single Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And to make sure you don't miss out on any of the action, make sure you subscribe on YouTube. Extremely important to do that. Make sure you like on Facebook and follow on Twitter.
True.
Absolutely, Grump. Now, tonight, big game, right? Tom Brady returns back home to New England to face off against Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots, Grumpy.
Yeah, and imagine if the Patriots are any good, how much bigger of a game this would be. The fans there are certainly, they're chanting his name. You're hearing some boos also, but it seems like so far the fans are firmly behind him. Let's see how it is if he throws for 3 scores in the first quarter or something like that. Then let's see what happens.
Okay, well, let's be honest, though. Let's look at it like this, Grumpy. I think the New England fans, they kind of know when they respect Tom Brady. And because remember, there was a lot that went on with that situation, right? He wanted to stay there. Belichick didn't want to pay him. And I know, Grump, I'm going to let you run with it a little bit about how the waters became a little murky because you've seen a little bit, I wouldn't call it maybe damage control by Bill Belichick, but you're seeing he came out in the papers, I think it was this last week, saying, oh, no, I wanted Tom Brady back. We wanted everything we could do to keep him here. He's an excellent quarterback, blah, blah, blah.
He's lying.
Well, tell me why.
Because he didn't want him back. Brady wanted to stay there. He absolutely wanted to stay there. He just wanted the same deal that Drew Brees got, 2 years, $50 million, and they wouldn't do him. They wouldn't give it to him. So the previous year, he came off an MVP year in 2017, and all he wanted was a contract extension. You got to remember, he was making maybe $14, $15 million a year. He wasn't close to being the highest paid quarterback in the league. And he comes off the MVP season in 2017, and they make him dance through hoops, saying, we're not going to give you any more money. We'll give you your same base salary, and then we're going to give you incentive bonuses, which means that he had to outperform all of his numbers from his MVP year. So he didn't make any of those bonuses. Then they wound up winning in 2018. He still wanted that contract again. They were not willing to give it to him. And 2019 was the last year, and he negotiated where they would not be able to franchise him. Here's the thing: Belichick hasn't wanted him. He was planning for his departure way back in 2014 when he drafted Jimmy Garoppolo, and that's what he wanted to do. He wanted a succession plan. He did not expect Brady to perform at the high level that he did into his 40s. And that's why you hear what you are.
So this is about money too, is kind of how the tumultuous waters began, Grumpy.
Yeah, well, not only that, Alex Guerrero does a lot of work with Tom Brady with TB12, and Belichick.
Who is Alex Guerrero, Grump? Remember, people the first time hearing his story.
Alex Guerrero is Tom Brady's personal trainer, and he has certain things that he works on for like pliability and stuff like that. And a lot of Patriots players were starting to go over to Alex Guerrero, including Rob Gronkowski, and that bothered Belichick. He felt that he was losing control of that aspect of the organization, going through his trainers and stuff like that.
And I'll tell you, one of those things that it wouldn't shock me at all that Bill is a guy who looks like he wants total and complete control over everything. So I can see how that might have rubbed him the wrong way.
There were also rumors that some players felt pressured when Tom was talking to them, saying, they didn't necessarily want to go with Alex Guerrero, but they felt like they had to because that's what Tom asked them to do. So, I mean,
Why was
maybe there
Tom
was,
asking him to do that?
well, he was saying, hey, go to this guy, he'll help you out. Maybe they felt peer pressure,
Yeah.
considering his longevity in the league. Who knows? All I know is that Belichick took away Alex Guerrero's access to being on the sideline. He would not let him have an office in the stadium. And so Brady had to go other places to have this done. Now, from my perspective, if you're not willing to pay a guy money, particularly somebody like that, if you're not going to give him the money, you have to give him a couple of perks. I mean, if he wanted his guy there, what's the problem with having him in the office? He wouldn't let him take the team plane when they went to away games. And, so Brady had to pay for that. And I could see from Brady's angle, honestly, that, what? It's like, what's the problem? I'm taking less money. I have no input. And now you're taking things away
And
from
and
me.
and here's the other thing, right? I see other players that are at my caliber and other players that produce the way I do, and they get input, out the wazoo, except, maybe the exception of Aaron Rodgers. I mean, you look at the Peyton Mannings at the time period, which always was, Peyton against Tom and, Brady against Manning. And you look at all those other, elite quarterbacks, they have some say in input. And here's the thing, if you got a first ballot Hall of Famer and a guy says, this XYZ athletic trainer or XYZ person who works on my flexibility and my movements and mobility, I like him to be here, I like to work with him, blah blah blah, you usually want to do what you can to cultivate that relationship, keep that healthy, right? You would figure, at least.
And, Belichick always treated him like his wife Giselle Bundchen said, like Johnny F. in Foxborough. He would say if Brady made a bad pass, he'd rip him in front of everybody. And this is, him going on 18 years in the league, 19 years in the league. And, he would say, she said, you can't treat him like Johnny F. in Foxborough, because that's what Brady would say. That's what Belichick would say in meetings. Like, I could get Johnny from Foxborough High to come down here and throw a pass like that, Brady. And you know what? I could see after a while that would kind of wear on you a little bit. Now, Brady never said anything. He was always a team guy, but I could see where, he wanted to be treated more as an equal, let's say, at the end of his career than what he was. He felt he kind of earned that. And as we're seeing now, Brady leaves the Patriots, goes to Tampa Bay, wins the Super Bowl in the first year, and it's the first losing season that the Patriots had since before Brady got there. And I'm always, as I've said before, I'm always player over coach. Players win games, coaches can lose them. Now, Belichick's the greatest coach of all time. That said, he doesn't put on any pads and go out there. It's all about execution.
Yeah, well, let me pop this quick graphic up here. Bill Belichick with versus without Tom Brady. Okay, here's the thing. There's no doubt about it. Some people, I think Emmanuel Acho, I think he's got a lot of foolish takes, but I think he did have a good take with this one. He said that Tom Brady was the sculptor and Bill Belichick was the clay, right? It's important, obviously, when you talk about success. I mean, because what Belichick and Brady did was outstanding. It's never going to be replicated ever in the history of the NFL. Ever, ever, ever. We can mark that down in the books. But, five Super Bowls over that time period, incredible. But,
Six, not five, six.
Brady had 6 Super Bowls with Bill Belichick.
Yep.
Okay, gotcha. My mistake. That's right. He's got 7 now. But I mean, you look at the records with and without. And again, last year they had a little bit of a up and down season. Cam is not the quarterback for him, and I mean Mac Jones here, the rookie, is going to take some time to get accustomed to a new role. But he's going to struggle. I wanted to ask this for you, Grumpy. Who is this a bigger game for? Is it a bigger game for Tom Brady or a bigger game for Bill Belichick? In the history and the lore of that will always be, who was more important to their success, Tom Brady or Bill Belichick? Who does this game mean more to? Who is it more important to regarding their legacy?
I want legacy. I don't know
Like,
if I don't know if this game has any legacy bias or bearing, But
Well, when it goes down, right? When you're talking about who is more important, I think this game shows a little bit of, who is more important to it. Because here's the thing, right? If Belichick comes out there, draws up a masterful scheme, and the New England Patriots beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, do you think that drops, Brady being, a little bit more important? Do you think that drops it down on the list, right? Where if Brady comes out today and torches the hell out of Belichick's defense, I think there can be no doubt that Brady was always the most important piece to it.
okay, that ship sailed last year when Brady leaves New England, and New England has virtually the same roster that they had the previous year. Brady led them to 12-4 record and division title, and Tampa Bay was 7-9. Then Brady goes, they win a Super Bowl, and the Patriots have a losing record with virtually the same identical
They
line.
did have the most COVID sit-outs that year. So
they had, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They had maybe one guy who's even back with the team. One guy who's back with the team. Those guys were all at the end. They were all at the end.
Okay. Well, again, like you said, it's virtually the same team. It wasn't, because from the year that Brady was still there, a lot of those players sat out. So it wasn't virtually the same team from that year to 2 years ago to 1 year ago. It was not.
Here's the thing.
Not an accurate statement.
Brady won a Super Bowl, and they had a losing record, period,
Okay.
with the same cast of characters. So, like I said, Brady's already won that argument, won it. For Belichick to even have a shot to get even with Brady, he has to win another Super Bowl without him. And I just don't see that happening. I just don't see it happening. They're just not a very good team. And now you don't have Tom Brady, who's like spackle for bad teams to get them over the hump. You just don't have that anymore. And so now you're seeing they're just a regular team now that can lose to anybody and beat anybody on any day. And that's what you're seeing. This game has nothing like that. I want to kind of say, well, who wants to win the game more? I want to say it's probably Tom Brady. I think it means more to him because he wanted to stay in New England. He really did. He did not want to leave there. I think Belichick wants to do it also, and not for the same reason that Brady wants to win. I think he wants to because, gosh, if they're 1-3, this season's going in the toilet. Where the only team they've beaten so far is the Jets.
Okay, well, you can also say, I mean, that division, right? The Bills are good. I mean, the Jets won the first. Hey, how crazy is that, right? This is the first time that the Jets and Giants have won a game on the same week since I think it was November or December of 2019.
Yeah, well, when you got two really bad teams in town, you're not going to get a whole lot of. They, like I said, had no victories going into today.
Yeah,
think about it. The Giants just beat New Orleans. Okay, in New Orleans, a team that absolutely throttled the Patriots last week. Think about that.
Well, I tell you, the Saints seem like one of those Jekyll and Hyde type of teams so far because they got their butts handed to them against the Panthers. The Panthers are 3-1. They did just recently lose today to the Dallas Cowboys there, in Dallas. That being said,
they don't have a quarterback.
Yeah, they don't. I mean, Jameis Winston, they try to pump him up after week one, after what he threw for like 158 yards, 168 yards, and everybody said, whoa, 5 touchdowns. This is what the Saints have been missing. Who knew what could have happened last year if he was at the helm? Oh, this LASIK surgery really worked out for Jameis Winston. Yeah, that guy is a below average quarterback.
He's not very good. And until they get a quarterback, because they're still talented. Now they lost a lot of players due to free agency this year, key defensive players. But they're going to go as far as Sean Payton can coach them. It's not going to be good enough to win a title because they don't have the players. That's why players win games. Coaches can put good players in position to win, but the players have to execute.
Okay. Well, here's the thing. A lot of Sean Payton's offense is designed around those trick plays with Taysom Hill too. So, I mean, I feel like he's got to be, a wizard when it comes to this and drawing up these plays in the dirt for their gadget player like that, because, they've struggled. I've got a comment here from What a Film saying, hey guys, missed you last night. Glad you're back. Not a Brady fan, but he came into the league with great expectations, without great expectations, just like Chara. Good for both of them. Welcome home, Zdeno Chara.
They're both 44 years old too. Think about that. Still playing. All right, Chara is not playing as high a level as Tom Brady, but just the fact that he's able to play professional hockey in the NHL at 44 says something about him.
Yeah. That's for certain, Grump. I want to also talk to you about this, Grumpy. So you don't think, again, this is that big of an important game, regarding legacies, who's more important, who's the sculptor, who's the clay. Good to hear that, Grump. Want to ask you this, though. Now, did you happen to see some very, very poor officiating in the NFL? I feel like this could be a new little segment, too. All the poor officiating across the NFL. Man, oh, man, I'll tell you, Grumpy, there were some hideous calls this week in the NFL.
Well, I remember back when I was a kid, they didn't have instant replay. And yeah, there'd be a couple of calls that were egregious over the course of a season. But now it's like they slow everything down in the super slow-mo and look at 1,000 times. And it just makes the officials look bad because I'm sure the officials have been the same forever. It's a tough, tough job. Think about the speed that they're playing at, and just some things just get missed.
Well, I want to talk about this one because, right, this is a game that was actually, funny enough, Grumpy Old Man, this is a game that was decided by 10 points. The Packers against the Pittsburgh Steelers. This was right before going into half. And who knows what type of impact this could have had, because on this play right here, Minkah Fitzpatrick was called for offsides. I just want you to take a look here at this. And it was funny, right? Gene Steratore, right? They bring him on. He's the guy who's supposed to decipher whether the ref did a good job, what the ref's thinking here. And multiple times, Tony Romo, I think Tony Romo was calling this game. He said, "Hey, Gene, what are you seeing on this?" Gene Steratore said, "Oh, it's really close. It's a matter of inches. So, this is a really tough call to make out down there on the field." He wouldn't say, every single time he says, "Hey, if a referee is correct, oh, that's a great call by the referee, this, that, and the other thing." It was his way of weaseling out of making a position like he likes to do. I want you to watch this, Grumpy Old Man, and tell me if you think the Pittsburgh Steelers have a little bit of a grievance with this one. And it's similar, I think, to the Dexter Lawrence offsides they called it too, whereas it's just a perfectly timed snap. I'll let you watch it though, Grump.
Balls moved, they move. That's really close, right? Now, if you're allowed to go forward with the ball, you got to wait until it starts going backwards, maybe. But I think Pittsburgh has the right to be upset.
So they blocked that kick. They returned it for a touchdown, Grumpy, and this was called back. They re-kick it, and the Green Bay Packers, convert on that field goal. So essentially a 10-point swing right before half.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. Once the ball moves, the play starts. Now, here's the thing. They missed a call like that, again, with Tampa Bay going against, a couple of weeks ago, where the same thing with Shaq Barrett. He just timed it perfectly, and they called him offside. He was not offside. He was moving, and he timed it perfectly, and they just missed those calls. All right.
How the hell do you miss those calls? That's my point, right? That is just you're staring right at the line of scrimmage. As soon as you see that ball being snapped and you see the players being moving, it's not. This is the issue I've always had with officials. Just because an outstanding play and a perfectly timed snap, it's like, oh man, that looks too good to be true. There must be a flag on that one for offsides. It was a hell of a late throw of a flag too. I mean, it was one of those after the kick was blocked, they threw the flag for the offsides.
Okay, so what do you want? Instant replay for offsides penalties now? I mean, there's so much of that. It just happens. Mistakes are made. That said,
you're a believer of, hey, when a bad mistake like that is made and it's obvious, we should just say, mistakes are made.
But it was really close. It was really close.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Gene Steratore here in the TJ and the Grumpy Old Man podcast. How are you, Gene?
I just feel like there's too much instant replay, too much complaining about officials. Here's the thing. Pittsburgh wasn't good enough to beat the Packers. I don't care what happened there. The Packers had them blown out, and Pittsburgh scored a late touchdown at the end to make it close. That game was not close. They were dominated. After the first period, they were dominated by Green Bay.
You mean the first quarter?
Yeah, the first quarter. I'm sorry. Yeah, they were dominated by Green Bay after that. So, I mean, the best team won. So I don't really have a problem with it.
Now, let me ask you this. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and show you. Let me go ahead and turn this off. I'm going to go ahead and show you this, Grumpy. Now, again, Brady, first time back in New England. Now, I want to ask your expectations for tonight's game. What do you think the end result's going to be? Because, again, we're doing this podcast live during the game, Grumpy.
I think the Buccaneers win the game. I think while Brady was getting cheered in pregame, I think he'll get booed when the game starts.
Really? You think so?
Yes.
Why?
Yes, I do. I just think that he will, because they're Patriots fans first and foremost. So, I mean, I think in pregame they'll give him cheers, but I think during the game he'll get booed.
Why the hell?
Particularly if he does well,
Why would you boo the guy who brought you 6 Super Bowls?
because they're fans of the team and they feel like he left them. And even though Belichick wanted him gone,
It'd be like saying the Indianapolis Colts when it's not even like that, because I mean 6 Super Bowls is more than it's the most that any franchise in general has won in the history of the NFL. But I mean, like, you
not
feel
true, not true. He's won 7, which is more than
he won 6
New England's
Super
won
Bowls.
6.
He's won
Pittsburgh has
6.
won 6.
He's won 6 Super Bowls with the New England Patriots, which is the most by any individual player. It's tied for the most that any franchise has ever won. Again, it's, with the Pittsburgh Steelers and the New England Patriots. I'm just saying he's won a hell of a lot, and he's won more than any other quarterback in the history of the NFL. I just can't see the fans booing this guy. I can't see the fans booing Tom Brady. I just can't.
Well, but they're fans of the team first. Players come and go, but the
This
team
player was here for how many years? 20-something?
20 years. Yeah. But okay, but here's the thing. When he comes back, when his career is over and they put him in the Patriots Hall of Fame, or wherever they have there, he's going to get a rousing ovation. He's still playing. He's playing against their team. They're rooting. I mean, it's not just because Tom Brady's not there. They didn't fold up shop and just say we're disbanding the franchise. So, they're still rooting for their team. I just don't think they're very good. That's all.
Fair enough, Grumpy. Fair enough. I did want to show you this. Now, did you happen to see why Urban Meyer is trending on social media? I always like to give you a few of these, Grumpy, that are surprises, so you have no idea. Maybe you know about this.
Do not know.
Okay. Oh, hold on.
I'm sure it's not for anything good. That much I can tell.
No, it's not for anything good. Now, they wound up blowing that lead against the Cincinnati Bengals on Thursday evening, and he made very inflammatory comments saying unacceptable. It is unacceptable, but he just looked visually extremely frustrated. And I've got a little clip to show you here, Grumpy Old Man. So
I just want to say one thing. Jacksonville fans should be happy. Oh boy, no, this is not going to be good. Where is he, at a party or something?
He's at a bar. He's at a bar.
Ooh, not good. Not good. Okay, just one thing, Jacksonville fans. Trevor Lawrence he's a real deal. Hopefully they don't get him killed, but the kid's a player.
Gotcha. It doesn't. Let me turn this volume off. But they're at a bar, and he's obviously intoxicated, and he's got this lady just dancing on. Here's the thing: it could be one of those things where, again, I try to give the benefit of the doubt, look at it both directions. Maybe it wasn't. This is not his wife. Because they had the picture with her afterwards. This is some college girl. Maybe it was this college girl like saying, hey, I'm going to set you up for a trap. I want to go ahead and get a film or a video of me dancing on Urban Meyer. And he was so drunk, he's just like kind of existing, kind of like listening around, and somebody just started dancing on him. Maybe that's a possibility. And maybe he was enjoying. Who the heck knows?
It didn't look that bad. Okay. I realize it. How long was the clip?
That was just a shortened version. It was like 10-15 seconds is like the normal version. And this is also the image that has got Urban Meyer in a little bit of hot water too, Grumpy Old Man. Let me pull that up for you here. This one right here. So that's the lady who's dancing on him. Again, Urban looks obviously like he's been doing a little bit of drinking at this bar.
Got a little droopy eyelid action going on there.
Yeah. So people are I love the comment. Urban about to tell his wife that this is Trevor Lawrence.
No, well, yeah, maybe so.
The hair matches.
Now, here's the thing: he didn't grab her.
No,
so maybe he'll be able to get away with that. So.
I think everybody is trying to do anything and everything they can to link Urban Meyer to USC. People are now jumping to conclusions again, saying, "Oh, he's trying to do anything he can to sabotage his job. Look at this. He's going out. He's getting filmed out at the bar, getting danced on by young college ladies. Oh man, he wants to go to USC. He wants to have Jacksonville find any way possible to fire him. So now he's doing things like this in the media.
I mean, would he go back to Florida University? I don't know where he is. Why is he hanging out with college girls? Oh, first of all, a man of his stature, he doesn't need to be going out at bars late at night. He's freaking head coach. He should be preparing for next week's game.
I did.
Right.
I did find that a little odd, right? Oh
mean-
man, oh man. You would want to think that your coach of a team that is starting off the season 0-4 is maybe out there hard at work on Saturday evening developing a game plan because hey, I've got an extra 3 days of planning period because I've got Friday, Saturday, and all of Sunday to prepare for our opponent where the other team, won't have that same luxury because we played on Thursday. You'd like to think they were out there preparing for the 3 extra days when their team is 0-4.
I mean, you need some time off, but I mean, do you really need to go to a bar? I mean, it's just dumb. Anytime an athlete goes to a bar, you're asking for trouble. I mean, I'm just saying you're just asking for something bad to happen. Particularly if your team sucks, they're going to do something to try to provoke you. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Urban Meyer again making headlines. I feel like every single week Urban Meyer's making headlines for some reason. And again, I'm not sure if it's just because everybody wants to link him to USC for whatever reason, but I don't take too much into that one, Grumpy.
He's a good college coach, really good college coach. And their team looked better against the Bungles. But the Bengals aren't really good either.
Oh man, Grumpy. Well, we've got a few comments. Alexander saying, "Hey guys, good evening. What a miserable day for me today. I left Hard Rock Stadium, punching the seats and cursing up a storm."
That's what happens when your quarterback has a little boo-boo on the side and he can't play for who knows how many weeks. And here's the thing, Alexander. Next week they're going to lose to Tampa Bay.
Yeah, so I mean, it's obviously not ideal for the Dolphins.
No. And Tua is not great. But I just think about the Dolphins and the opportunity that they had really in the last 2 drafts to really stock up, and they reached for guys. Almost every single pick they had, they reached for guys. There were better players on the board, and they just mismanaged the draft with all those picks. I couldn't be more. If I'm a Miami fan, I couldn't be more disappointed with the guys they picked in the last 2 years, for the most part.
Alexander also saying when Brady came on the field, they booed the hell out of him, and he sent me the video clip. So I guess I'm wrong. I just am shocked that they would boo Brady.
Well, in pregame, like I said, once the game starts,
this is opening drive.
Off the opposite sideline. Well, he got a tremendous ovation. I would say 6-1 in favor. But now that the game has started, enough of the romance. They want the Patriots to win the game.
I think these fans had a game plan. That overwhelmingly, they were cheering for him when he came on the field. Overwhelmingly.
I don't get the boos. I'm sorry.
I don't get the boos either. I mean, that's me. I can understand why they're doing it. They're team over player. But, as you get older, when I see players that I think do things the right way, I automatically root for them. It doesn't even matter what team they're on, honestly. I want to rooting for the player. When you're a younger, it's team over player always. The team, you think players should take less money to stay with the team. They need to be loyal, stick with the team. But as you get older, you look at things a little bit differently.
Yeah, so I don't disagree with you there, Grumpy. I was kind of shocked about the boos. I'd be looking at it if I was a Patriots fan saying, man, oh man, it would be impossible for me not to root for Brady everywhere we went, even when he played New England, because I could look at my team and say, all righty, guys, this year is just like a waste of a year for us. There's no way in hell we're winning the Super Bowl with first-year quarterback Mac Jones, especially the way we've looked so far. We're not winning the Super Bowl. So I'd be like, all right, what's the next best thing? Tom Brady winning the Super Bowl. So
you're in full rebuild. And that just shows you how great Brady was, because they were a terrible team. Even the year they won the Super Bowl, their last Super Bowl, they were not good in 2018. Brady got hot down the stretch. He single-handedly beat Kansas City. And, they won the Super Bowl with a gutty effort against the Rams. And, then they just, in 2019, they won their first 8 games, but you could tell the team was not very good. And Brady just kept that team together as long as he could. As soon as he left, right in the toilet. It's not a mistake. It really isn't.
Alexander also saying Tua has broken ribs, grumpy old man. He does have broken ribs. These are the same broken ribs that he had like a chronic issue with. I think he broke a few times in Alabama too. So
okay, Rob Gronkowski not playing today, had 4 broken ribs and a punctured lung, and he was questionable up till today. Tua's been out for how long with his little rib injury?
2 weeks.
Okay, and he's going to be out at least a couple more.
Nah, who knows? Who knows?
That's
Long
what they
story-
say.
Okay. Long story short, he'll be back.
He's always hurt.
He is always hurt. Again, that's not a guy you want to have an injury prone tag on. Hey, just like we said, right? I think that Christian McCaffrey's worked his way to being having an injury prone tag on him as well.
He's a running back, though. He takes punishment all the time. This guy, you breathe on him hard, he breaks something.
And then what a film saying, Grumpy, who was your favorite football team before Brady and the Patriots?
Giants. Being from the New York area, I loved Bill Parcells, Phil Simms. I started rooting for the Patriots when I also love the Jets when Joe Namath was there, going way, way, way back in the Oakland Raiders. You know, when you're really young, uniforms is what you gravitate for. I mean, I love the silver and black. I loved the Jets. My dad had season tickets, and Joe Namath was the quarterback. He had the white shoes. He was so cool. And then, the Giants I was rooting for. And then I started rooting for New England when Parcells left to go to New England. And then Belichick went up there, and they brought a bunch of old Giant players when they had Plan B free agency. So I started liking them. And then, Brady came in, and I wasn't a Bledsoe fan, but Brady just the way he carries himself turned me into a fan of that team.
Gotcha, Grumpy. And also said, how about you, TJ? You're a football player. Who's your favorite team? And bring back fan fights. LOL. We're gonna be bringing back fan fights.
I love fan fights.
Fan fights are the best. That being said, I've always been a Giants fan too. I'm a fan mostly of all the New York teams. But yeah, Giants, hey, got their first little victory today. Barkley was non-existent for first 3 quarters and I would say 5 or 6 minutes into the fourth, and he turned it on there with a big reception and helped drive them down the field here for the game-tying touchdown and then the game-winning touchdown. So, I mean, Barkley is one of those guys where if you excluded out that 10-minute window at the end of the game, his numbers were pedestrian at best. So I'm glad he helped I'm glad he helped the Giants win today's game, though.
Yeah, they just got to get him the ball. I mean, he's a good player. All right. I know you don't like the running backs or you think they shouldn't be drafted high, but the kid's really talented. And, you think about it, he's only a year and 2 weeks from that torn ACL that he had. So I expect him to get better as the year goes on.
Oh, my goodness gracious. Oh, goodness. Now, I've also got one here. Now, this is this was in the overtime, Grumpy Old Man. I'll let you listen to this one here, caught on live tape. So I don't know if he knew he could be mic'd up or not, but I'll let you listen to this little clip. This is between the Giants and the Saints in overtime.
You're our visiting team. You have the choice. This is tails. This is heads. Heads is the call. And it is heads. We want that motherfucker.
I guess he did. Jabril Peppers. Not a good look, Jabril
He's
Peppers.
He's excited, but he should have known
that he could be heard.
He's mic'd up. I mean, the official is calling. You're hearing it over the loudspeaker. And he's excited, though.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And here's the thing, right? First win for the Giants this year. Good. Glad for him. Now, I think this is funny, too, Grumpy. Now, people are comparing this, and I think it's always funny. You mentioned Joe Namath earlier, and I want to ask your opinion now. Do you think this clip of Joe Namath was worse than what we saw with Urban Meyer getting a little bit of trouble this weekend, Grump? Now, this is always the famous Joe Namath clip where he had been drinking a little bit, and he's talking with the reporter a little bit here.
I want to kiss you. I couldn't care less about the team struggling.
That clip always makes me laugh. I don't care what happened. Could have a death of a dog or a cat in the family. Something like that happens, and you see that clip, and I'm going to smile and laugh. I couldn't care less about the team's failures.
The team's struggling. Hey, but one thing, he pronounces the whole word, and he says it correctly. I could care less about the team struggling. It's like he didn't say struggling. He said struggling. And that is the full word. So even while he was absolutely shit-faced, he said it correctly. I mean, but here's the thing, in Joe Namath's defense, he realized he had an alcohol problem, made him look really bad. He apologized to the young lady. after the game, and he went and got help, and he's been clean ever since. I remember meeting him at a Super Bowl in 2000 in the year 2000, and he had a little bit to drink, and I remember him cozying up to a honey right there outside the press box. So, what can I tell you?
Is he a married man?
He was not married at that time.
Okay, gotcha.
But he'd been drinking, and he was turned on the Broadway Joe charm.
Oh, I gotcha. Hey, that name carries. What can I say?
With downtown Julie Brown, who used to be on MTV. True story.
Oh, goodness gracious. True story. Downtown Julie Brown on MTV. Now, speaking about unbelievable performances, grumpy old man, Myles Garrett, last week we didn't get a chance to cover it because we were out, had a hell of a day. He broke, I think it was the Browns record or franchise record there for most career sacks in a day. It was 4.5. And today I know he got at least another half a sack. I want you to watch this. Now, I don't know, did you happen to watch any of the Minnesota Vikings and Cleveland Browns game at all today, Grumpy?
I did watch a little bit of it.
Man, oh man, how the hell? It's Shermer still, or who the hell has a job in?
It's Mike Zimmer.
Mike Zimmer. How does Mike Zimmer still have his job?
This is a throwback game to the 1970s. Honestly, it was 14-7 was final. Good defensive battle. They had opportunities. Kirk Cousins is just an average quarterback. I mean, it was a good defensive. If you like defensive games, this was a good game to watch.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. It was an old throwback there. That being said, Grumpy, Jesus, man, oh man. I mean, the Vikings right now are what are they, 1-3 to start the season?
I don't know the record.
Yeah, I think that after today's loss, they're 1-3, struggling big time. Zimmer last year.
They are struggling. I don't care about the team on the field. I don't care if they are struggling.
But
we should say that when a team's doing bad, just whip that Joe Namath clip out there.
Oh,
I could care less about the team.
But the Vikings, they're 1-3 to start this year. You have to figure this is a make or break. This is a make or break season for Zimmer, right? Because last year they had a lot of collapses. I thought poor coaching decisions cost them a few games at the end of the year. And Zimmer, right, they're starting off 1-3. They got the Lions next week. Then you go to the Panthers and the Cowboys and the Ravens and the Chargers. You've got a pretty tough schedule up ahead of you. I mean, if Zimmer doesn't make the playoffs this year, I feel like he's gone in Minnesota.
And funny, he was just like a play or two from going to the Super Bowl 3 years ago. Think about it. That's how quick fortunes change in the NFL. That's why it's so amazing with what Brady and Belichick did in New England all those years.
They call it the not for long for a very important reason, Crump. Now I'll let you watch this one here. Now, this is Myles Garrett. I want you to take a glance here at his dominance, right? Minnesota Vikings have 3 players blocking Myles Garrett.
Okay, the running back totally missed him.
Okay. You still had the running back was still going for the chip, and he did miss that. That's correct. And you've got 2 offensive linemen just got absolutely separated. Jesus Christ. You talk about pathetic. Oh,
72 didn't finish his block. I don't want to get into a pass blocking breakdown because no one cares about offensive.
Oh, Gump, who
absolutely no one cares about.
Let's get a little offensive breakdown section.
No one wants offensive line breakdown. I keep telling you that. You keep on bringing that stuff up. That's why we got no viewers on this podcast because no one wants to see that.
Oh, Grumpy, it's what people love. It's what
every time you want to talk about offensive line play, click. No one's interested in that. I keep telling you.
Oh man! Speaking about other teams that might be in trouble, the Tennessee Titans. Do you think they're in trouble, Grump? Today was I think that today was a bad loss to the New York Jets. I think Zach Wilson looked good. Zach Wilson was making throws at the end of the game where, again, like I know he's had, certain games where he struggled. He struggled against New England, but man, oh man, he was making some beautiful throws, right? Right back shoulder throws there to wide receivers towards the end of the game. And he was on point with everything he was doing. It gives you a lot of reason for optimism for Zach Wilson.
Yeah, their offensive line's abysmal also, the Jets. I'm glad they won. You could see the whole team was super excited. Good for them. I don't think Vrabel's in trouble.
I'm saying, I don't think Vrabel's in trouble. I'm saying, do you think the Tennessee Titans are in trouble? Maybe not to make the playoffs, or what do you think they're in trouble at all?
It's still too early, but I do feel that they miss Arthur Smith, who's now the head coach in Atlanta, with their offense. Tannehill has kind of been exposed a little bit. I mean, to me, he's just a game manager. As that team goes, is how Henry goes. But then you also have some injuries out there. You had Julio Jones was out and A.J. Brown was out. So, I mean, I don't know what you're expecting from them offensively. If they were healthy, I don't think the Jets win today.
Okay, fair enough, Grump. I'm just looking at their upcoming schedule, right? They've got Jacksonville. I think that's a secured win. Then they play Buffalo. They play the Chiefs, the Colts, and the Rams. Those are 4 really tough games and already have 2 losses. The only thing that helps them is their division is weak. When I say weak, I mean weak, grumpy old man.
The Colts are 1-3. They're not really good. The Rams last week was the Rams Super Bowl going up against Tampa. And they got rolled today by Arizona. And Kyler Murray just rolled. So, like I said, we don't know yet who's going to be what from one week to the next. The season is still so young. But Kansas City looks like they righted the ship a little bit today. I don't think their defense is very good. They kept Philadelphia in the game. I just don't think Philadelphia is that good offensively, but somehow they kept them in the game, and they made Jalen Hurts look like an all-pro. So I'm not too concerned about Kansas City's offense, but their defense is a problem. They're going to have to outscore everybody, and that's tough to do every week. And who is the other team? Who they play next week?
Jacksonville Jaguars. So the Urban Myers. That's an easy walkover win.
And Buffalo seems to have righted the ship a little bit, but that's what happens when you play weak teams. You look great. Let's see how they do against a little bit tougher competition.
Alexander saying, "Yeah, Zach Wilson, Mac Jones, the greatest quarterbacks that can never do wrong, but yet Tua does one thing wrong and he gets absolutely destroyed by the media."
Okay.
So here's the thing with Tua. I look at him, and again, like I see what you see with him now is exactly what he'll always be. I look for room for growth. I think Mac Jones is a guy he was always a guy who I didn't think his ceiling was all that high. I thought his floor was very high though. No matter how poorly he did, his floor was always very high. And I don't think his ceiling was that great. Zach Wilson's a guy who I thought that was going to have times and he was going to look miserable certain times as he got acclimated. Other times he was going to look really talented. So, again, very, very high ceiling, floor kind of low. But with Tua, I just think he is kind of what he is. And it's unfortunate that he's always had the injury problems and he's frail. I think that's what's going to really do his career in.
Yeah, Zach Wilson, he was a one-year wonder at BYU, but you can tell the kid has escapability. He's got a really good arm. He plays for the freaking Jets, and that's a big negative because they find ways to lose. Mac Jones,
ways to win.
Mac Jones benefits playing for Bill Belichick and Josh McDaniels. They're going to make him as good as he can be. I don't think he's great, but I think he's a very serviceable quarterback. The problem with Tua is he gets hurt too much. His whole college career was hurt. He's always got some type of injury, and I don't think his arm is that good, and I don't think his touch is that good. I just don't think they should have drafted Herbert. I mean, I've always been on the record for that. I just thought that was, once again, a mismanaged first-round draft pick.
Well, here's the thing, too, and I will play devil's advocate in favor of Tua Tagovailoa. Again, we like to Tagovailoa. We like to try to play, try to be as neutral as possible or try to be, as fair as possible with these points. Now, they don't really have much of a running game at all in Miami. They haven't for the last 2 years. And you look at it this year, it's no different. I mean, you're still rolling out there Malcolm Brown, Myles Gaskin, and then Ahmed. I can't remember his first name. But, I mean, they don't really have much of a running game to rely upon either. So that always hurts the Miami Dolphins regarding that if you're looking for a balanced attack. They've done a lot to where they say, hey, Gisselsley or Gisses, how do you pronounce that name, Grumpy? The tight end for the Dolphins. Gesicki. I mean, he again, good enough tight end. I mean, Parker's still there.
Ready?
Oh goodness, Parker's still there. And again, you try to address the need there with wide receiver with Waddle and also Will Fuller, of course, who gets hurt. But the offensive line's not there. So I'm not saying if they didn't have if perfect conditions were for him, where he had a great offensive line, he had a running game, he couldn't be a successful quarterback. I'm just saying with the way the team's currently constituted, it's tough for him to be a success with his tool set.
If they drafted better, they'd be coming out the other side right now. Their drafts the last 2 years, considering the capital that they had going in, have been bad. I'm sorry. I think they mismanaged every one of those picks, starting with Tua as your quarterback over Herbert. I'm sorry. To me, there's no comparison between the two. None.
Gotcha, grumpy old man. What a film said, longtime Cowboys fan, sucked when Romo got hurt, but these guys mean business right now. And he says also it's pouring rain there in New England. It's going to be a big factor in today's game.
That's the best thing that Bill Belichick can hope for is they keep the game close. It's a driving rainstorm. Tampa's got to run the ball, which they don't do exceptionally well. I don't know.
I'm not sure if you happen to see this roughing the passer.
I did. It was pretty lame. But here's the thing. He got the arm up by his fit. Why is his arm up that high?
It's okay. It's not. He hit him in the chest.
You know what? What should he have done? Should have wrapped his arms around him and tackled him.
Okay, but here's the thing, right? He's got his hands up trying to pretend he's going to block the ball because he's going for a throw. And then he's got to because remember, you can't hit a quarterback. If he hits a quarterback like this and tackles him in the chest and he threw that ball, he's getting a penalty for 15 yards roughing the passer. So, right, what do you have Chase Young have to do? He's got to go, I'm going to try to block it. And that's why you see him not make the tackle.
He didn't try to block the ball. He never tried to block the ball. If he would block the ball, his hands would have been up in the air. His hands never got up in the air, not once. He went to hit him. He went to block tackle him.
He was trying to knock that ball out.
Tackle. Or if you're going to knock down a pass, get your hands up. He didn't do either. He tried to block tackle.
I cannot believe that was a roughing the passer penalty. And he throws the ball after being hit. He's on the ground with the
interception.
He threw an interception. I'm just happy the Washington football team won this game, because if they didn't and something like this impacted that, I mean, that would be a tragedy. It would be a tragedy.
Well, I don't know. I thought Atlanta deserved to win that game, honestly. Terrell Heineke pulled a horseshoe out of his butt. And a nice play by J.D. McKittrick to score a touchdown. Was he in the end zone? I don't know. They certainly didn't have enough to overrule, and that was ball game right at the end.
Now, I will also say this here for you too, Grumpy. I was thinking about this. Now, it looks like Ben Roethlisberger is cashed. I mean, he's should have retired maybe last season. I mean, he doesn't have it left in the tank anymore. Pittsburgh they're in trouble without a real quarterback. Now, let me ask you this. If you're in a situation where you're on a franchise and you had to pick one of these two, two quarterbacks, would you rather have Matt Ryan at this stage in his career or Ben Roethlisberger at this stage of his career?
Matt Ryan.
Wow, that's how far you think Big Ben has dropped.
Yeah, he's what's he, 39 years old? I mean, he just doesn't have it anymore. I mean, most guys, they don't last to be playing their 40s. Very, very rare. And they fall off a cliff. Drew Brees, Peyton Manning, Ben Roethlisberger, Johnny Unitas. I mean, all those guys. The only guy who hasn't is Tom Brady. That's not the norm. Yeah. Everybody else losing it as they get older, that's the normal. And you're seeing it. Pittsburgh's another team that you could see going down after this year.
And again, they're going to be down. I could even argue they're going to be going down this year. Alexander says here, I'm not ready to say Herbert has arrived. Did you guys know that last week was Herbert's first win versus a winning team?
Yeah, it's a new coach. Anthony Lynn was a terrible head coach.
Awful. In
San Diego. The kid's the real deal, though. I mean, he can make every throw. He can throw on the run. He can run. He can beat you with his feet. He's really, really good. He's better than Tua Tagovailoa. Sorry, Alexander.
You saw today also Jimmy Garoppolo got hurt his calf. And Trey Lance had to come in for him today.
What a shocker. Garoppolo's hurt again. He's always hurt too. One thing Belichick always says, the best ability is availability.
That's for certain. And again, Trey Lance first came in kind of, he was kind of thrown into the situation. Didn't look all that great. Again, he was playing at the Seattle defense, kind of held him in check. But, you're looking at this year. Hey, Trey Lance is getting early time, and so is Justin Fields. Who would have thought? All four of those quarterbacks are getting early time. All five of those quarterbacks who were drafted, from 15 or whatever. Since what was it? Fields was the 15th or 16th overall pick by Chicago.
15.
Yeah. So 15, 15 and higher.
No. I'm sorry. He was number 11. Mac Jones was 15.
Okay, Mac Jones. Gotcha. So I mean, all those quarterbacks who were drafted, 15 and earlier, are all getting time. First year right off the bat. They always, and the thing is, they always try to come in saying, "Hey, we want to be able to give them, a chance to get acclimated." So it's not like we're throwing them, baptism by fire, and every single one of those quarterbacks are starting, by week 5.
The NFL is not like it was in the 1970s and 1980s, where you had guys on your roster until you decided to let them go or trade them. You have 5 years before these guys hit free agency. So you better maximize with the salary cap. You better maximize their production early. That's why you're seeing the young guys play. Maybe they're not super ready, but you know what? You better get them up and running and ready so you can maximize their low salaries and build a team around them. That's what you have to do nowadays. You just have to.
Yeah, you're seeing a lot of teams taking that same exact approach where they're saying, "Hey, we're gonna pay a huge contract there to our quarterback right off the bat, and we're gonna go ahead and load everybody else around him, so we've got long term him locked up instead of having to worry about, hey, once we're trying to nickel and dime and piece our way there, we might lose him to free agency."
I remember back in the 80s, Phil Simms was the starting quarterback for the Giants, and Jeff Hostetler was the backup. And Haas never had an opportunity to play ever. He wound up playing on punt teams, stuff like that, because he just wanted to play. And it wasn't until Simms got hurt against Buffalo in 1990, during their second Super Bowl run, that Hostetler finally got a starting job. I think he was 27 or 28 years old at the time. And, earlier he would have been gone. I mean, he would have left to go play for another team because, you're not going to hang around as a backup that long. And after he did wind up leaving the Giants, he had a really good career with a number of teams, most notably Oakland. So, I mean, you just don't see that anymore. Guys don't sit on the bench for 5-6 years.
Yeah, the game has definitely changed in that aspect. You're not wrong. I wanted to ask you one more thing here, Grumpy, about regarding the NFL. Now, Justin Tucker, this is now 2 weeks ago, broke NFL record with the longest field goal, 66 yards. Let me ask you this. Do you put Justin Tucker as the best field goal kicker of all time?
Not all time, but he's certainly the best kicker in the league now. You have to win games. I don't think the Ravens have been good enough where you can say that and that one hit off the crossbar and fell through. I mean, tremendous kick, right?
So you're thinking more of a Vinatieri is the best kicker of all time.
Jan Stenerud. But here's the thing. What was the one that they won? They had kicks to win them championships. I mean, a kicker's, they're kickers. Sorry.
Okay, I didn't know.
He's good. He's certainly
longest kick. I think it was by 2 yards in NFL history. I just wasn't sure if you were giving him the label of, hey, this guy maybe one day is going to be considered the greatest kicker of all time.
Morton Anderson. I mean, he was great. Never missed a kick. I mean, there've been a lot of really good kickers. I'm not putting Tucker down, but you got to win some games in bad conditions to be the greatest.
Absolutely. Now, Grumpy, the 2021 MLB playoffs are set, Grump. And I'll tell you one thing. I couldn't be happier about the Yankees and the Red Sox facing off. That'll be a great series. I wanted to ask
one game. Isn't it just one game?
It's one game. It's a playing game. But that being said, at least they're going to be playing. You talk about the height, the height and atmosphere between, a Red Sox Yankee series, a one game play-in, to get into the playoffs. Now, who do you have as favorites, Grumpy old man, to win the World Series, and who are you looking out for?
Okay, I'm going to go on a limb here. I'm going to say the World Series is going to be between Tampa Bay and St. Louis.
Okay.
St. Louis is incredibly hot right now. And that's why the Dodgers were trying so hard to win division against the Giants. I mean, one game playoff, like I said, St. Louis, I think they won 18 of 19 games, something like that.
Well, they lost last night, so I think maybe it's like 18-20, something like that.
Okay.
They've been extremely hot, though. That's correct.
Yeah. Those are teams that can win. Those are teams you get hot at the right time. Everybody starts hitting. Your pitching is great at the right time. Watch out. I think Milwaukee will advance to the second round. But I'm going on. Like I said, that's a hot take. I'm taking the 5th wild card spot to win the World Series this year. How about that?
Oh, I tell you, that is a hot take. You talk about the Dodgers, man, oh man, right? Clayton Kershaw hurt again. Ugh, can never stay healthy there.
Probably done for the year. I mean, that's what happens. You get older, you get these injuries. Pitchers have those injuries, right? I mean, just the way it is.
I'm gonna go a little different.
Just to let you know, I had Clayton Kershaw on my undefeated championship fantasy baseball team this year.
Yeah, nobody wants to hear about your fantasy baseball team, Grump.
Undefeated champion.
You and your fantasy baseball. Oh, goodness gracious. I'm going to go a little different there with you. Out of the AL, I'm going to have the Houston Astros. I'm going to have the Houston Astros making it there to the World Series championship, and I'm going to have the real crazy prediction. I'm going to have the Giants win it all, Grumpy.
Okay, that's a real crazy prediction. They're the number 1 seed in the national.
I was joking. I said this. I was trying to be facetious. I said this is going to be a real out there in the blue type of prediction, Grumpy. The Giants.
I'm surprised you didn't make your usual pick of Tampa Bay against San Francisco, since they're both the 1 seed.
I think honestly, I think the Yankees are going to beat the Tampa Bay Rays.
I don't even know if the Yankees are going to beat the Red Sox.
I think the Yankees are beating the Red Sox, and I think they're beating the Rays.
I don't see them beating the Rays. I just don't. They're a flawed team. They're flawed. It's all or nothing. Home runs or nothing. And since their pitching is not great, I mean, Tampa Bay plays a solid all-around game.
Gotcha. Well, gotcha, grumpy old man. Let's stop sharing that here. But wanted to go ahead and mention that, Grumpy, because that's something we're going to be keeping a close eye on for certain. Now, there's 2 more topics I wanted to talk about, just so making sure we're covering all the sports. Now, big hockey news recently. I'm not sure if you're aware. Did you happen to hear what comments Robin Lehner made?
Yes, but please refresh my memory. He had a problem with the way that teams are kind of dispensing drugs, correct?
Yeah. So Robin Lehner is, the way I read it, I mean, he's proposing that there's medical malpractice in some capacity regarding, how they were giving out certain drugs. Now, I'm going to read the quotes. Now, these are tweets that he had made, and the NHL has reached out to Robin Lehner because they want to have a talk and a conversation with him. So I'll let you hold on, give you 1 second here as I'm pulling it up. But Robin Lehner, I'll tell you one thing. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. Were they sweeping things under the rug? Who the hell knows? I'll be very interested to see what happened. Now, I'll read you the tweets. Now, these tweets are pretty damning, if true. Let me put it to you like that. I'll start off with the first one.
I can't read them.
I will make sure to zoom in for you, grumpy old man. Robin Lehner, he said, enough for today, for every day that goes by, that this shit keeps going. I'll be releasing a story and proof from myself, ex-players and current players on what's going on. The truth starts tomorrow unless things don't get fixed. Have fun. No filter, NHL, NHLPA, mental health. So this is what he released on October the 2nd at 8:30 p.m. Well,
I'm surprised he's doing this.
Well, here's the thing. Maybe
I'm not saying
he's a guy who's struggling. And again, like us being an Islanders fan, he's a guy who struggled with mental health, and really he fought those demons. And maybe this is something where he sees other people going through similar issues, and because there maybe are medical malpractice is what he's claiming, these players are not able to get the help they need, and maybe that's why he feels like he has to go out and make it public.
Okay, bennies have been given to baseball players for years and years and years.
Okay, well, here I'll read the quote for you, grumpy old man. He said, "Is it common for workplaces to give out benzodiazepine to employees when they travel and Ambien? Should that not be done by doctors or psychiatrists? Asking for a friend. This doesn't happen in Vegas, to be clear, but I know many other teams. I've also been in on teams that do that also, that do. And he said, then Philadelphia Flyers, dinosaur coaching treatment, treating people like robots, not humans. Fire these dinosaurs. Fire Elaine Vigneault first story. I got proof. Try to shake your way out of this one. And he also said, and they say Ambien is a sleeping pill. It's funny that rehab told me that this is why I didn't have my REM sleep. 8 years of no REM sleep. Great. But just sleeping pills.
I mean, okay, you're a professional athlete. You play games late into the night. You got to get up early for next flight. You need something to put you to sleep and stuff to get you awake. That's just the nature of the beast.
That being said, it should be what he's claiming is that the benzos and the Ambien was being distributed not by the team doctor and not by psychiatrist, which is illegal. That's medical malpractice. If somebody was just saying, hey, let's go ahead and get you this, and let's say Alain Vigneault, I don't know what he's claiming here, but if it's not being given by the doctor or the psychiatrist, that's an issue. That's medical malpractice. And that's what he's claiming here.
I just don't know why he's wanting to pick a fight with this. I don't understand it.
Here's the thing. Maybe he's wanting to pick a fight with this because, again, he sees people that are struggling through mental health, and because these people are being given. Let me ask you this, Grumpy. If you saw something that was blatantly illegal going on, and it was just common practice, would you not speak up about something that was an issue like that?
Okay, here's my thing. These guys are getting paid millions of dollars a year. They are paid to produce, and the team wants to make sure they're on the ice, they're on the diamond, they're on the football field, they're on the basketball court. That's just the way it is. If somebody can't sleep at night and they can't get up to make a team flight or whatever. I'm just saying
it shouldn't be Alain Vigneault and other members of the team giving it out. It should be them.
He didn't say Alain Vigneault. He didn't say Alain Vigneault did that. He just called him a guy that didn't treat players like humans. He treated them like robots. He did not say that he was saying take drugs or he was dispensing drugs. He did not say that. And I'm not saying that he didn't. I'm just saying that that's not what Lehner said. He just said that Vigneault treated players like robots and not human beings. That's what he said.
Fire Vigneault first story. I got proof. Try to shake your way out of this one. Again, treating people like robots, not human. Here's the thing. Now, what he's saying, because the first tweet he makes here is saying, is it common for workplaces to give out benzos to employees when they travel in Ambien?
Okay.
So he's saying the team's doing that. It's not the team doctor. He said, should that not be done by doctors or psychiatrists? That's implying that these athletes are not being given that by the doctors or psychiatrists, which is medical malpractice. That's what he's saying. There's medical malpractice that's going on in the NHL, and it's causing these drugs to be distributed not in the correct fashion. And maybe it's causing people who have mental health issues to be distributed drugs when in reality they need to speak with a doctor or psychiatrist first, and they're not getting that step because they wanted to make, they want to cut the middleman out because, I've seen this a million times before. Let's just go ahead. I'm going to tell Johnny Two Shoes, the pencil pusher, go ahead and write a prescription for this and get that done.
Okay. In Major League Baseball in the 70s and 80s, they used to have bold with the greenies, which are the bennies. They used to just have them on the table. Players just take them. Because when you're playing one night, you're playing a night in another town, you fly across, you have a day game, you need something to get you up. It's just the way it is. You do what you can to get on the field.
Hold on. It's no longer the 80s, Grumpy. That's what I'm trying to say. That's not the way things are supposed to be done. That's not the correct form. That's not the correct way.
Okay. That's fine, but you know what? Bottom line? These guys got to get on the field to perform.
Okay, terrific. If they need benzos and they need Ambien, that's fine. They should be talking to the doctor and a psychiatrist about it. Do you not agree with that?
Okay, now he didn't say that it wasn't a prescription. He just said employees.
Those are prescription drugs. Those are not drugs you get over the counter, Grump. Those are drugs that have to be prescription drugs. And he said, should that not be done by doctors or psychiatrists? He's implying that they're getting these prescription drugs that should be talking to a doctor or psychiatrist before you get the prescription drugs, and they're not doing that. That is what is implied here in this tweet.
Okay,
and it's tough because we're looking at only a certain amount of characters, but I'll be very interested to see what happens because, they said that the NHL, Grumpy Old Man, is reached out and they want to talk and find out what's going on.
I think every team in every sport does things like that. Why? They got to get their players on the field.
You're not understanding.
I understand, but you know what? I guess I don't care about it enough.
Really?
They're a commodity. They're getting paid millions of dollars.
Hold on. You don't care enough if a player is being given a prescription drug without speaking to a doctor or a psychiatrist about it, and teams say, oh, you're having trouble sleeping? Oh, don't worry. I'm Johnny Two Shoes. I'm the athletic trainer. Or, hey, I'm Elaine Vigneault. Or, hey, I'm XYZ person. I'm just going to get you this.
Okay, so you don't think a player's ever gone and says, man, I'm having trouble getting to sleep. Hey, tell a buddy, here, take one of these. Or, man, I'm really having trouble getting going. Hey, take one of these. You don't think that ever happens?
I'm not saying it's never happened. You're not supposed to share prescription drugs.
Okay, so what does that mean? It never happens? Come on.
So what does that mean? Are you trying to tell me that organizations should be allowed to just say, hey, I'm just going to bypass what the doctor, the normal means and method, because they should meet with the doctor? What should happen is say, hey, you're having a hard time sleeping? Hey, we're setting you up a meeting here with Dr. Bob Smith. He's going to go ahead and look at you. What probably is going to happen is they're going to give you something to help you sleep. The doctor looks at him and says, okay, this is what it is. Here's a red flag we have to go through. Okay, this is the case. Or maybe there's some underlying issue that is more significant, though, that it gets swept under the rug or not looked at. That's what Robin Lehner, I think, is trying to make the point here. We're going to see as this comes out, though.
So the teams are just cutting out the middleman, because here's the thing. If it's a team doctor, he's going to give them whatever they want.
They're gonna, okay, the team doctor, sure, you can maybe make an argument they're going to give them whatever they want. Maybe the team doctor won't, though. Maybe the team doctor says, hey, you know what? I don't think it's XYZ. I think it's a different issue, more deeper lying issue. We're also going to get you to seeing a psychiatrist about something. I have no idea. I'm just saying what the tweet made it look like is that they're not going to the team doctor or psychiatrist and they're getting these prescription drugs from non-medical professionals. That could be an issue. That's an issue, in my opinion.
Okay. I just think that you could see that in society all the time too. I mean, those things happen. I mean, I know you're playing this Babe in the Woods routine. I mean, that's just the way that it is.
Is that right, though? You could say that's the way it is. Is that right, though?
I don't care. It's just something you have to do to get on the field. Like, okay, you think you should be shot up and numbed out to play on the field all the time? I don't care if a doctor's doing it or not. It's not good for your health to numb something up so you can get on a field to play. It shouldn't be the case. They should say, you know what, your leg needs rest, or your shoulder needs rest. No, they get them out there. Or Rob Gronkowski, yeah, you had a punctured lung. It's just pain tolerance. Let's see if we can get you out there on the field. I mean,
I get that point, right? You're saying that they want to get these players out there as quick as possible, and sometimes it does negatively affect their health. I think that's a different story. I'm just saying that for this instant, if you're giving away these type of prescription drugs, they should be given away by medical professionals who are licensed to do so, not by Johnny Two Shoes or, the pencil pusher over there, athletic trainer, or whoever the hell is giving them out. That's all I'm saying. It's going to be interesting. Nonetheless, this I think is going to be a big story in the NHL. And it's not a good look for the NHL. It's going to be a big story because depending on what happens, I think it's going to be big.
Okay, we'll see. We'll see how big it gets. I think the NHL want to sweep that under the rug.
That's exactly what I think. And that's why the title of the episode is Sweeping Things Under the Rugs. I think they definitely want to sweep that under the rug. They will try to do anything they can to sweep any type of, if something else was going on like medical malpractice or something like that amongst these team organizations, I think are going to try to sweep that under the rug instead of bringing that to the light.
And it's not just the NHL. All sports do it.
Yes, that's correct.
I mean, it's just the nature of the beast. You're up late one night. You got to play a day game. I'm dragging. Take this. I mean, that's just the way it is. That's the profession you've chosen.
Now, want to show you this here, Grumpy. Now, we talked about this one last little bit, Grumpy. We had talked about Man United a little bit. Now, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has struggled. He's been struggling as of recent. People are on the fire Ole Gunnar Solskjaer train, no doubt about it. Recently, they drew again at home at Old Trafford there to Everton. And to start the game, again, they did have a Champions League game midweek where Ronaldo had to have he had to save Man United by scoring. I think it was in the 94th minute against Villarreal, or I can't remember, Sevilla. It's some team from La Liga. And they had $400 million worth of player value sitting on the bench. Ronaldo, you had on the bench. You got Lingard, Sancho, Pogba. You list them. The name goes on. Matic. And at the end of the game, I did find this is odd. This was right as time was expiring in the 94th minute. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, after drawing at home to Everton, had a smile on his face there. And again, it wasn't like this was just a freeze frame. This is a smile he had on for about 5 or 10 seconds.
Here's the thing.
He's got to go. Got to go.
Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, he's Ted Lasso. He knows absolutely nothing about the game. He's a terrible coach. Do you remember my prediction what was going to happen? I said they're going to come in maybe fourth in English Premier League, and they'll get knocked out in the round of 16, maybe go to quarters. That's it. Because he's a terrible coach. If Ronaldo doesn't score, they don't win because they are a terrible team, just a terrible team. No defense. Their midfield is a disaster. They're not good. Sorry.
And I will say, right, when Andre Townsend scored that goal, they did the little Sue celebration right at Cristiano Ronaldo. I was like, oh, man, oh, man, oh, man, oh, man. But what a film saying. I think Grumpy wants to sweep it onto the rug. Grump, I want you to have a chance to respond to that.
I just think that's just what it is. I mean, do you want to see guys who are out there playing and then you're going to rip players? Well, gosh, it looks like he's asleep out there.
No, that's not what we're saying. That's not what we're saying. If they need to have those drugs, fine with it. It should be done via the team doctor or a psychiatrist or whoever's licensed to give those out. It should not be Alain Vigneault or the team athletic director.
Okay,
or
you keep on saying Alain Vigneault.
He's linked Alain Vigneault to this, so that's why I'm drawing that conclusion.
But
whoever it is, if it's not the licensed individual, it shouldn't be them giving the drug. That's all we're saying, Grump. If they need those drugs, fine. Be it that way. They should speak with the team doctor first, though.
Maybe they did speak with the team doctor.
He's saying they're not. That is verbatim what's in his tweet, Grumpy. That's what I'm trying to tell you. He said verbatim, they are not. They should speak with the team doctor first, right? I'm just asking for a friend. He's implying that the people are not speaking to the team doctor or psychiatrist before getting these pills. That is the issue. If they need them, fine. But they should speak with the team doctor. You agree with that, don't you?
No, I don't know why he's doing this. It makes no sense to me. You know what? Maybe if you played a little bit better, your team would have won a Stanley Cup. Maybe that's the case. It sounds like he's worried about other things. If you want to be an advocate for things, get out of playing in the NHL and do that. I don't understand. I just don't understand it. I don't understand where he's going with this.
He sees people that are struggling through issues, Grumpy old man, and he sees that they are having issues with whatever mental health, and that they get these prescription drugs that he had been on in the past that it maybe caused him to have some sort of those mind-altering drugs that he considers, and he's seeing them not going to team doctors or physicians or a psychiatrist in order to get these. It's against the law.
He's just making broad generalizations. He doesn't know everyone's situation. He doesn't. He just doesn't. I mean, you know what he reminds me of? A reformed alcoholic who all of a sudden it's like he's on a mission now where he wants to reform everybody. And yeah, just take care of yourself. I mean, I don't understand why he's saying this. And he says, well, it doesn't happen in Vegas. Why are you throwing mud on every other franchise?
He didn't throw mud.
Because he didn't have the balls to do it when he was playing for other teams, but now he's not there, so now he's going to throw mud.
Maybe it just got to a breaking point with him, and he's like, I got to speak out about this. We have no idea yet. We have no idea yet what the story is.
He's talking about other teams. I just don't understand it. If he's calling out his own team, that's one thing. He's calling out other teams. I mean, I don't know. I don't understand why he's doing it. I just don't.
Again, I'm going to give you one last.
It doesn't matter. I don't understand why he's making such a big. He's not throwing himself or his own team on the bus. He's throwing other coaches, and we don't even know the reason why he's throwing Vigneault. He obviously doesn't like him, and he's throwing other teams under the bus. Is he saying that about the Islanders? Maybe that's what the Islanders do.
All I'm going to say is, remember this, right? If you see, I have no problem at all with whistleblowers, especially if they're true and accurate. Hey, I'm gonna be on. I will observe to say, all right, I'm listening. I'm listening, and then once the facts start coming out, I'll determine whether you're right or wrong. I'm just saying these are very bold accusations, and if true, if you're getting these benzos and you're getting these Ambien, and you're not having to go to a team doctor or a psychiatrist in order to get those.
Okay,
that is not correct. That's not the right way to do things.
He's never even played for Alain Vigneault. He's never even played for him. He's played for Buffalo, Ottawa, the Islanders, and Chicago. So it's one of those. It's at least one of those 4 teams that he's throwing under the bus because he's saying, I've also been on teams that do. So it's one of those 4 teams. I mean, he knows what happens on other teams.
People might feel, here's the thing, people might feel comfortable reaching out to Robin Lehner because his mental issues and the mental struggles he had are so well known in public that they feel like that's a guy they can go ahead and reach out to and they can feel safe and comfortable speaking with him. So maybe they expose something like this, and maybe Robin Lehner is like, hey, dude, you need to come forward if that's the case. And this is maybe why this is coming out. I'm just saying we have no idea. It's definitely a big story, and I'll be interested to see what happens because Robin Lehner wants to speak with the NHL and the NHLPA about this, and he's getting his wish, and I'll be very interested to see what transpires. Now, Widow also says, yeah, I see a doctor for my pills for a variety of reasons, and they've taken the time not to overprescribe, thank goodness. Never mind going through the difficulties while playing major league sports. Yeah, here's the thing, right? If you need them, terrific. And again, like if those players need them, awesome. They should definitely speak with the doctors and their psychiatrists, whatever else is needed. But I think this statement, we'll see what happens from it. It may not be all that big of an issue. It may be something big. I'm just saying it's something we're looking out for, Grump.
Okay.
One last thing too, wanted to mention.
You know what? I'm just going to say he's getting ready to play in the regular season, but it seems like this is more important to him. I'm just saying.
Maybe it does cause his game to struggle. We have no earthly idea. But again, he felt like he had to come out with this. And again, we'll be on the lookout. That being said, grumpy old man, want to ask your opinion on Cincinnati and Notre Dame. Notre Dame had a chance, and I feel like they always have that chance to go ahead and elevate their game and then win against those top-rated teams. They lose in South Bend to Cincinnati. Man, oh man, I feel like that's a bad loss for Notre Dame. Is it not, Grumpy?
Yeah, I know Cincinnati, they're this week's darling. It's a long season, so let's see what happens. But in recent years, Notre Dame just doesn't win those games anymore, where they used to all the time. They just don't anymore because they're not that good. And Cincinnati, they play in a lesser conference. Let's see what happens. But it's never good to lose at home.
Well, here's the thing. Could you make a case if Cincinnati wins the rest of their games and they win the AAC, they're going to be in the college football playoffs, right? Because
right now they're rated right now they're ranked 5th in the country.
But
here's the thing. I look at the power, Georgia and Alabama. I don't care if they lose a game or two. They're the 2 best teams in the country.
Well, Alabama is by far the best team in the country.
Georgia's really good too.
Close.
Georgia's really good too.
Alabama's the best team in the country. It's not even close.
Okay. I think Georgia's with them.
I think if Alabama plays Georgia, they freaking wipe the floor with them.
They're going to play. They're going to play. You're going to get your wish. They're going to play in the regular season, so you'll get your wish.
Regular season. They're probably playing the postseason too. I'm just telling you, Alabama is going to wipe the. I think that Alabama, the disparity of good teams are just so crazy, and Alabama is just so much better than everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, the SEC is the best conference.
Yeah. Well, Grumpy, we're right here at the end of today's podcast. Is there anything else you want to say before we wrap things up here today?
I just want to say love and laughter to everyone who listens and even those who don't, from TJ and the Grumpy Old Man.
Well, thank you, Grumpy Old Man, for being a part of the podcast here. Thank you, everybody who listened to the live stream and the podcast. Again, best way to show us your support on this venture here is making sure you subscribe on YouTube, making sure you like on Facebook, and follow on Twitter. Again, we go live every single Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, every single Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Again, thank you so much, guys, and thank you, Grumpy Old Man.
My pleasure.